Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 482. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, living the dream and drinking the Kool-Aid. Joined by Charlie Carden.
All of it. All of the Kool-Aid. Good evening, world. I don't know. I was going to say Seattle, but neither one of us are there. But yeah, hey, Sunday night recording. We're in the month of July. It's been this great 5-day weekend. Man, Todd, you'll appreciate this because you like to make fun of people doing old people stuff. My new thing that I love, pickleball. My dad loves it. I have some friends who love it. My friend Tamara, who I talk about all the time, she and her husband said, she said to me about 2 months ago, we ought to start doing this. And so we played twice with her and her husband, April, and I did. And then I played this morning with my friend Jonathan Snedeker, who was the first person I played with a couple of years ago. I played with my dad. I'm totally into it. It's great. It's like little tennis with weird
Good for
rules.
you, man. Hey, doing
It's
a
good
sport
stuff.
or something like that. That's why I like bowling. It's not like because, oh my God, I have to. It's just, it's social, it's exercise, it's fun.
Right.
Good on you,
It's
man.
stuff.
Good
I
on you.
love it. Todd, I've got an extra racket. I'll bring it when we're in Chicago. Maybe I'll teach you.
I've played it a long time ago, actually. General Mills, they had like their fitness club. They had it. We get to play at lunch one
Really?
time. Yeah, it was kind of
So
fun.
you know a little bit. I like it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was fun.
So,
I loved it.
so just let you all know that we will have a special guest in this episode. We're going to be talking about DeadPool 2016, and we were joined
DeadPool.
by Joe Colton, aka at Joe Colton Cosplay. So stay tuned
yes.
for the third member of that discussion, and hopefully Joe will be back on a future episode for the whole episode because she
Absolutely.
was great. We already recorded it, so we will tell you it's great because it was great.
We know it's great. It's not hyperbole. But you know what else isn't hyperbole, Todd, is how great our Secret Friends Unite Patreons are. These are some great folks who jump in, they sponsor us, they show us the love, and because of that, they get to hear ad-free versions of our show. You get early editions like my show, Code 47. I pushed it out a full day earlier on the Patreon, so you get to start your week with some Trek early because it comes out on Sunday nights at 6 o'clock. But with our other shows, ad-free, you also find our stuff on YouTube just as an ancillary benefit. But yeah, these are the folks that make it possible for us to create all this fun extra content, and we are super grateful. Over on the Friends with Benefits level, we have John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay or entertainment, excuse me. They did change the name of their business. That would be Crayley and a friend of the show, Kelly, who records with us pretty frequently. Brendan Myers, Corey in HD, and Matthew Keel. Our top folks are the BFFs. That's the awesome Nias family out there in the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. And as mentioned in last week's show, Mary Letters is our new member. She's checking us out in a free trial, which is probably going to wrap up this week. Hopefully she has sampled our wares and she likes it and she ends up sticking around. That would be totally awesome. So Mary, once again, thank you. Be like Mary, take a free trial. And just like Arnie said in Predator, stick around. We would love to.
Yes, and one last picture, because I know we've had some issues with some of our podcast RSS feeds. We're figuring that out. But the cool part about being our Patreon is you get access to our official Patreon RSS feed, which means no ads. All of the good stuff we do is there in one place. All of our podcasts are there. Right. So I know that's working. We're trying to figure out with Squarespace to get this fixed, because right now I think if you're on Android or Spotify, you haven't got a new Code 47 episode in like 6 months. So we got to figure this thing out.
It drives me nuts. So, but yeah, you will find all the Code 47s a day early from now on. That is my promise to you. So yeah, jump on in there. Well, my promise to you, Todd, back in July of 1993 is what the hell is going on in Silver Surfer issue number 82.
Do you want me to tell you, Charlie?
Please.
Okay, so apparently in the 90s, the Silver Surfer was the new hotness. Ram Lim was drawing this book. I believe Jim Starlin was writing it. It was after all of the Infinity books, so he was big. But man, it got so like extreme. Like the image effect was in the comics at this point. So Ron Lim was going whole hog on creating the most ridiculous villains in the world. And one we got that I've never heard of before was, who can stand against the power of the tyrant? Well, nobody, because he's got like blades and wires coming from everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking at he's got like cords wrapped around him. He's got these big gauntlets.
Is he chewing on some wires too?
It's like he's biting like I gotta bite through this thing so you can have, if it's a piece of rope, you're gonna bite.
Oh, he's trying to snap into a Slim Jim.
Oh, there you go. But he's like the Terminator, but he has a flat top haircut plus wires coming out. I mean,
it looks like dreadlocks. It's like his wires are dreadlocks. Nobody knows. He's a weird looking dude.
At his feet, he has, and they even worked in a Wayne's World joke. It's pathetic because in the upper right hand corner, if you're looking at it on the YouTube, the word blurb is "Who can stand against the power of tyrant?" ? And on the left, underneath the numbers box, Gladiator, Terrax, Morg, Ganymede, Jack of Hearts, Beta Ray Bill, Silver Surfer, not what? And it's just I just got to know, Todd. I think you might have to put an asterisk by this one, and when we do our rereads, of course, I say that about every issue, but yeah, it just makes me want to go and check it out because it just looks so ridiculous.
I just want to know who Morg is, because is it Mork for Mork or Morg for Morg?
Well, the female character they have pictured here, I'm not sure who she is. That is a very scandalous outfit. Plus, she's just. It's some stripper wear there. It's the
high hips. It's so funny because she's got like a partial blouse, but then got this weird like head like hood. And if you're watching on YouTube, folks, right now, you'll see that my head is over DeadPool's nether bit. So enjoy that.
It's edited. We try to keep things clean. So
I don't know why I keep going over there. I'm drawn.
And one last thought. It's interesting how the lower left-hand corner post box is horizontal, and the Silver Surfer is scowling at you. Buy my book.
Yes, it's like a wince. It's like just his eyes. It was a weird one. I guess it was because those are the direct market books where or the ones that were sent to you because they didn't have a UPC code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was different because I had subscriptions and they would come. The most typical one was just a headshot, so it was like Spider-Man or Cap, are the ones that I saw the most often.
Interesting.
So anyway, fun stuff. And of course, if you're interested in reading that comic, I am fairly certain you would probably find it on Marvel Unlimited, which we enjoy that very much. But anyway, someone who, thank God, someone who probably was the person who finally had the smarts to outsmart Tyrant is our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. Now, she was 93 back then. It's pretty impressive stuff, but I bet she whooped his ass. But these days, she works for us. She's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine with all of the top scoops you could potentially hope for. Let's go and check it out.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, I heard you were a little disappointed. You were looking to get in one of those awesome 4th of July eating contests. You were going after the multi-meal or Bisquick eating contest. They don't have that anymore. Oh, my goodness. No, sorry, Madam Webb.
Madam Webb opened a box of those with mealworms in it. Oh, forget about it.
She was ready to take on Joey Chestnut. Apparently, Joey Chestnut has been banned. So we'll see what happens. But you know what else is coming out, Madam Webb, that isn't going to be banned? And that is we're getting a new Hellboy film from a new director with a new Hellboy. Trailer was released. And boy, what can I say except this looks like a fan film.
It definitely looks, no offense to not only our guest Joe Colton, who hails from Canada, but our partner Mark, who lives in Canada. But this looked very low budget Canadian. This looked like it was shot in the woods in British Columbia with some guys.
Like one of those sci-fi movies that used to watch, like Hellnado or Shark Turtle.
Battle of Los Angeles or something.
Yeah.
Where it was Starship Sailors.
Yes.
So this looks, so this was was definitely super like horror-y, filmy looking kind of deal. Just very far removed from Ron Perlman as the more classic Hellboy, which also my friend of the show, Doug Jones, starred in that as Abe Sapien way back in the early 2000s. Some Blair was cast. And then they recast it wasn't it with David Harbour? Wasn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah. And
Yeah,
I
there you
thought
go.
it looked pretty good, and he played a good.
Right.
A Hellboy. I thought he did a great job.
Right.
The movie was so. It didn't have
Yeah.
something. Something was missing. Yeah.
Right. And then so obviously that's been thrown out. And now I don't even know. I've done no research. Who is the Hellboy in this?
Okay, so let's get into this. So yeah, this movie is coming out. Jack Kesey is the role of Hellboy. The fun part about this, Charlie, you'll love this. The movie was helmed by Ghostwriter, Spirit of Vengeance, and Kink co-director Brian Taylor. If you remember those movies, those things were ape crap crazy. I mean, you got a Statham and a Nicolas Cage film at their craziest. Crank, if you want to look at something that's weird, check out Crank, about a dude who constantly has to have his heart charged or he'll die. It's weird, crazy film. Yeah,
that's a sustainable health crisis right there, is to get hooked up to a car battery.
Yeah, it's a classic Statham thing. And then it was written by Mike Mignola, the creator, and Christopher Golden, who writes a lot of the comics with Hellboy. And this is actually based on an actual comic book called The Crooked Man. So, quite honestly, this is about as faithful we'll get from a storytelling perspective because it's from the creator. But when we've had other creators involved, we had the horrible, well, I've never seen it, so I probably should watch it, that Spirit film by Frank Miller. I heard that movie was atrocious. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing of it. Isn't the Spirit like a guy in a black trench coat, but he's also wearing?
Yeah, he's kind of like one of the first superheroes. Yeah, I mean, he's got one of the classic characters who. There's been good Spirit comic books. I read a few other of them, but quite honestly, they try to do like a 300 kind of that noir look for it that just didn't really work. Or what's the movie I'm thinking? Sin City that Frank Miller did. So, not so great. But the story is based on the comic of the same name. And that story, Hellboy teams with a rookie BPRD agent named Tom Farrell and find themselves stranded in the 1950s rural Appalachia. Basically, there's an old story about a small community haunted by witches, and based on this horrible story about the Crooked Man was basically as they're investigating. So I will see this, but I'm not expecting much.
Yeah. Yeah, and it says, I kept scrolling, the movie is expected to be released later this year. Certainly with this horror bent, it certainly seems like it'd be good for spooky time, but based on the fact it seems like such a misfire, it'll probably come out on Christmas Day. I don't know. You're right. It seems very wacky. And just like, it's like, we took the Evil Dead, like that Evil Dead remake that happened not that long ago. That really just didn't really look like it was tracking. You know what I mean?
And I'm looking up the lead actor's resume. He was in DeadPool 2. He was in the Baywatch film. He was in that Strain TV series. But since then, I can't find a movie or TV series I've ever heard of before.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm curious what the budget of this movie will be, and if it actually gets a theatrical release, or if it gets it was released in one theater and now it's on VOD.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. So anyway, moving right along, and obviously if something else pops up, we'll talk about it. But Todd, we are mere weeks away, because it'll be happening at the same time that Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. So the last week of this month, for San Diego Comic-Con, which, Todd, you attended back in, was it 2010 that you went to that show?
2010, when The Walking Dead was first being shown on the floor. It was pretty amazing. Yeah. That was the high times. The MCU was fully engaged, and it was oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. Everything's happened. Well, the good news is that obviously, as revealed here, is that we will see the return of Marvel Studios 2 Hall H in this, which they were absent last year. And I just clicked on the link and I got a screen of white. So why don't you go first?
Okay, yeah. I was trying to find an updated panel of all of the things that are coming, so it's been hard to pin one down. But essentially, we are going to get a lot of toys. And the article actually, this one's about toys that are coming. We get a lot of exclusives. So the exclusives we're seeing from Mattel is we're getting the Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House, which is hilarious. So you can get that.
That's awesome.
You are getting a Jimmy Buffett, Jurassic World figure,
I mean,
which is
Jimmy
bizarre.
Buffett is. I will purchase this for my mother because my mother is Jimmy Buffett devotee, and I was raised on it. So I assume, I would love to. Oh, it's coming from Mattel. I would love to figure out if there's somewhere that I can buy this because clearly I'm not going. Probably be at that Mattel-
Maddie, it's what's that?
Collector.com.
Maddie Collector has this website, and some of these are finally. Some of these will actually be on, be able to order later on. Back in the day, they weren't. So the other one, Charlie, you'll get a kick out of this is they're doing Hot Wheels.
I need it.
Yeah, based on the Secret Wars collection. We get the black suit Spidey and the Spidey buggy with the shield. Yes,
you bet.
Yeah, so,
I love it.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more coming from it, but quite honestly, at this point, I don't see really solid. We're going to get Image Comics. There's going to be a lot of comic panels. I haven't seen specifically, to your point, like Marvel is supposed to be there, but I haven't seen is it going to be the MCU will be there? Is it going to be, other than that? I mean, we're going to have the comic book creators will be there. There'll be panels for all the new books that are coming out, but it does look like Warner Brothers DC will be there, which is kind of cool because we haven't seen that in a while, because obviously the James Gunn will be his first Comic-Con appearance as the head of DC, which is very cool.
Right. Pretty big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and at this point, it'll be curious what Marvel shows, because now that Marvel is part of Disney, they do a lot of stuff at D23 as well. So I don't know if they're going to save a lot there. So I'll be curious to see if we get something interesting, because obviously we might get our first trailer of the Superman film, which is coming in 25, or the cast or something there.
I would think so. Yeah. Or I would imagine that the focal around, if it's Marvel Studios related, would be
Joker
tied into
the
Fantastic Four. Yeah. Oh, Joker 2.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a trailer for that, but something more. But I would imagine we'd see something more about the Fantastic Four or something like that. Or God, what's the next Marvel TV project we're even seeing? I don't even really know. That's how
it's Agatha. Agatha's the next one. That's September.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how much they show. They got to get people excited, and obviously the Cap is the next big film. So are they going to show something there? Although I would think they'd save that until Super Bowl time, but I don't know. I think we got to start seeing some things.
Maybe something to tease it out, because I know Anthony Mackie dropped on his extras, and I think on his Instagram just a few days ago, the suit, which is very evocative of Cap suits of the past, and so it could be a little bit more around that. So I'm sure we will talk more about that next week, but that's what we've got for now. But Todd, you love the Batman, you love Japanese animation and anime, so when people smush those things together, we get this. What is this?
Yeah, so we got a Batman Ninja animated film in, I think, 2020, 2019. It was really entertaining. Basically, Batman and Joker, they were fighting in modern times, and all of a sudden, time hijinks occurred, and Batman, Robin, and Joker went. Exactly. They went to feudal Japan, and they arrived. What they call this, Charlie, in anime, is they call it an isekai, which means people's spirits are transported in another time, in another reality, but they know who they are, but it's kind of like that. So yeah, exactly. So they're actually doing it with Suicide Squad too, but this one was really cool because it was Batman was coming in as a ninja. You had the different versions of the Batman characters in different forms. Joker was a evil warlord, and it was just so creative the way they paired everything. The animation style was amazing. So they're coming back in essentially a sequel, but this is called Batman Ninja versus Yakuza, and this time they're bringing in essentially versions of the Justice League, which I find very cool. Yeah, so you're doing the Flash.
No Superman, but no Superman, but we do see the Flash, Wonder Woman. We get a female Green Lantern, which is awesome, and Aquaman. So did I get them all?
A fisher Aquaman. Yeah. So imagine we will be getting. Yeah, I imagine we'll be getting also then a large crew of essentially his Rogues Gallery in different versions as well. So I'm excited about this. The first one was in 2018. I think it's on Max. Very entertaining, very well done. The animation was great. Really enjoyed that quite a bit. And let's see if we got a date. Maybe this is coming out in 2024. Guess it might. If it's not 2024, it'll be 2025. So,
right.
I'm excited for this. And the good thing, most of the DC animated stuff does show up on Max, which I really need to check back into it because I've heard there's been a lot of good new stuff that has come out. So I need to do that.
Excellent. We did get a series of photographs from the just Superman movie that James Gunn is using to launch his big DC universe. That would be David Cornsweet is Superman. Handsome gentleman. I think he can pull it off. But we're also seeing, this is a little bit more controversial for Green Lantern fans like you and I, but we have the Guy Gardner Green Lantern. He does have the bowl cut, which we saw from this like photo from a distance, like through a telephoto lens.
Very orange hair.
Green so much. I thought it was kind of a legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we got, it was funny. Some of the photos I looked at because Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl, they had a guy in the Blue Man Group suit pushing her up, and that's how she was flying. I don't know if you saw those photos, but hey, it's all very exciting. Yeah, it's all very exciting. So you see it here in this photo. This is from the DC Film News handle on X. First look at Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl and Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner on the set of Superman. And it was a previous shot to this one, but you see a guy in a blue, gimp suit who is obviously, he's there to CGI him off. But who's the other guy? So you see Hawk Girl in the air, and the guy to her right, is it Mr. Impossible? Is he the other character?
No, Mr. Terrific. Yeah, Mr. Terrific is essentially, think of him as like the Tony Stark, like super intelligent, can create anything. And his motto is, Mr. Terrific was a character from like the Silver Age. This is the modern reincarnation. His motto is fair play. So he has that on his sleeves of his cool leather jacket, and he was part of the JSA comic series. That was very, very cool. He has like a T across his face. Yeah.
Oh, nice. But their Guy Gardner, if you look at him, he's wearing very easy cosplay, by the way. So I'm totally on board with this part of it as someone who cosplays Green Lantern. But
very
the
little
jacket,
green.
Yeah, the jacket looks, if the shoulders are green, it's a very like a hunter green, and the rest of the suit is white, but he does have the big belt with the big Green Lantern symbol on it. So that's something. Guy Gardner's traditional look, because I own one, is just a vest that straps across the middle with the logo on the breast, and but he does have that big old orange bowl cut. So we're getting this movie. This will be the movie of next summer. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking at Guy Carter's. They did like a zoom in. He on his chest does not have the Green Lantern logo. He has the Green Lantern on his belt, but he has a different logo, which they're saying stands for Lord Tech, which is Maxwell Lord, who basically kind of we obviously saw Maxwell Lord in that horrible Wonder Woman 84 film. So hopefully they renovate him.
Even Mando couldn't save that shit. Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm very excited about this. I've always loved, Superman. Who the hell doesn't love Superman if you enjoy comics at some level? But the Chris Reeves Superman, that was the first superhero I was ever introduced to, and there'll never be another. But I'm always interested in seeing somebody else taking a stab at being Superman for a new generation that we can really line up behind. I know
we've had
guys,
We've had multiple successful Batman, so quite honestly, I've really enjoyed most of the Superman we've had. So this will be a new interaction. He's obviously somebody I don't know very well, so I'm ready to be amazed and stupefied. But I am curious to see where this goes because this is going to be a big movie, and a lot is online for DC to make this work.
Big time. All right. Well, I'll let you grab this next one because I know that this is a favorite character of yours that I know you've told me about. I know a little bit, but again, it's yours.
We will need to do then a spin rack on this character because
Yes,
I think
please.
it's well worth it. So, one
Absolutely.
of my favorite comic book characters since the 90s is Jack Knight Starman. This was one of the only successes that came out of the 0 Hour event at DC at the time, and it was amazing. So basically, this is about a legacy character, Starman, and his son. The first. And I don't want to give it away, but basically it's a great storyline about Jack Knight was really the reluctant hero. He never wanted to take over for his dad. Jack was kind of an art collector, a little bit of a hipster living in Opal City. And I
love how everything in DC just ends in city.
Yeah.
It's blah, blah, blah city.
It was so good. And yeah, we just basically got his first issue. I saw, I'm like, this looks really amazing from the cover. I'm like, it's very iconic. And Starman has such a deep history with the DC, one of the original characters in the JSA back in the Golden Age. So I'm excited about this. Well, the original book ran for 75 issues, a complete run. That's what they wanted to do. They've never revisited the character, which was amazing. Created the character of brought the Shade back to life, really engaged with a lot of great classic heroes as well. We did get versions of Starman with the most recent Stargirl series that you saw with Joel McHale playing a version of Starman. So nice. A lot of great legacy. Jack, and then we had, blanking on his name. The Jack writer we all loved who wrote Green Lantern and a few other books at the time.
Jeff Johns.
Yeah, he then took the legacy of those JSA characters, brought them out. So I really love the fact, though, that we are essentially getting the original creator and artist back on Starman to the Black Label series of books. This is DC's more like a little more, they can do things. R-rated, do some things, get away with it. James Robinson, the writer, excellent writer, and then Tony Harris, phenomenal artist. He didn't do the whole run. He did a portion of it, and then another artist took it over. So they're going to be doing this. So I don't know if this is going to be a limited series or not, but it was announced, and we're going to see more of it at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, big time. No, I look forward to it. So, well, cool. Well, that does take us out of the news. Boy, it's so funny recording the show out of order. He's like, oh my God, we're almost done. But Todd, I got to get out my phone. Got to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. Down in the Geek Easy, they are waiting for us to talk about stuff we're enjoying. But we get in this gross cab. The guy flips on his AM radio, and instead of hearing the Pina Colada song, first I hear this ad.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So Charlie, I've been trying to get myself back to remember the things I actually have to watch, and that was one of those things.
Tough. It's tough.
Masters of the Universe Revolution. So this is the central sequel series to Revelations, which Kevin Smith wrote and partnered with. So I watched the first 4 episodes, and this is a direct sequel. We, don't want to give it too much away, but really it's picking up with essentially Hordak is brought in as the main bad for this element of the series. And
not Fister.
No, well, he was in it, but he didn't make it. Spoiler, sorry, from the first series. And that is one of the things they're trying to bring back is essentially there's a place called Pre-Eternity, which is like heaven or Valhalla, where the warriors go when they pass along. It was destroyed in the last film. So Tila, who is now the sorceress, is trying to bring it back. But she essentially finds out she does not have the adequate power. So she has to bring the 3 powers that basically run the universe magically together. So she's basically doing a quest to retrieve all of those things.
Nice.
We get a cool storyline, a lot of action, man. But the thing that's awesome about this is you get a character, I don't want to spoil it, who is played by William Shatner. He's doing some really good work. I love it. He's hamming it up. He's having a good time.
You know what Elton John is to music, Shatner is to acting. He never goes away because he always shows up in something. I mean, we were driving in the car last night, just getting home from playing pickleball, and a song from the 80s came on that was a duet with some woman I'd never heard of and Elton John, and it was a song I'd never heard of, and I'm very well versed in Elton John. And I said, here's a guy who will never go away. He did a duet with Eminem in the early 2000s, because Eminem is famously homophobic, and then he did a duet with Dua Lipa last year. I mean, the guy will just never go away, and he's in his 80s, so almost. So it's
William Shatner. Hey, if I was him, I'd do more voice acting gigs because then I can sit on my butt, eat some Twinkies, and talk.
Yeah,
because he loves doing that. Yeah.
He does. I told you I had a brush-in with him, not only on the cruise last year, but at Motor City Comic Con very recently. He went past me on his Rascal scooter when he was on his way out.
Nice.
We exchanged pleasantries as opposed to on the cruise where he yelled at me because I dared to say something about Star Trek: The Next Generation. He was really pissed.
Nope.
And I was like,
Charlie.
Hey. I know.
He's going to come over there and give you one of those kung fu chops, and you're dead.
Kung fu,
yes. Or he'll run you over with those little rascal. Yeah,
I guess he's not getting it down these stairs. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. So we've got William Shatner doing a very good voice role, and then we've got Mark Hamill chewing the scenery as Skeletor. It is so good. It's amazing.
Oh my god,
I love this to pieces. Hey. Kevin Smith, do G.I. Joe, do something like that, because he writes well. He's a good writer when he's not doing something weird.
If he's not doing Tusk or Red State, when
he's constrained, he can do something really good. When he can just do whatever the hell he wants, then he turns into like
Watch out,
George Lucas, telling us about the Senate. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. This is great. Okay. I think it's 8 episodes long. Loving it to pieces. They're half-hour episode long, so really, really digging it. It's really fun. And Charlie, they brought a character I didn't think they were going to, which I loved from the movie. So yes,
Courtney Cox. They brought out Courtney Cox.
No.
Oh, damn it!
But I like the fact that they're touching on the movie, which made me laugh too. Yeah, so very, very cool. And you know what? They've made Orko a badass, and I love that. So I'll take it to the bank. Yep.
Orko.
Next, I saw a movie on Saturday. Saw it yesterday. And I don't think you even talked about this on the show, but
yeah, we saw. I know. I feel like I did. Maybe I
didn't. You missed it because you said I have thoughts and you never brought it up. So,
oh my god,
talk about it now.
Now we're talking about. Let me interject because that way I can very quickly sneak in the fact that when we were playing pickleball with Jay and Tamara last night, she said, "Oh, we watched the 2 Quiet Place movies again. They're on Paramount Plus because they were going with so they have an adult son who's home for the summer. They went to go see the new film." In theaters, but we did a super quickie rewatch of 1 and 2, and the whole Quiet Place saga. That's John Krasinski's baby, right? Like he created it, he directed it, he starred in the first one, he cameoed in the second one, and then great films packed with suspense. I had forgotten anything about the second one, but the second one actually also starts on day one, which I had completely forgotten about.
I did not, and I haven't seen the second one, so I decided because I'm seeing a prequel, who cares, right?
Yeah,
I'll see the second one. I should be okay. I mean,
so anyway, so you've seen the first one, is what you're saying?
Saw the first one, yep, and so I haven't seen the second one. I was going to, but I'm like, you know what? It's a prequel. Who cares?
Yeah,
I'll just go and see this now.
And I won't say another thing about the second one other than it does show you the genesis of the upstate New York town that the Abbott family, which is Krasinski.
Got it. So it takes place in. Yeah. I mean, because this is in New York too. This first movie is in New York proper, Manhattan,
right? Exactly.
On the island. And then I did not know they were in New York upstate. I did not know. I can remember that.
Because in the second movie, it's about they're migrating to a spot on the coast, and it's in like Connecticut and stuff. So it's all East Coast. Anyway, that's all I will say about that, and then we'll transition back to talking about Quiet Place Day One. So let's do it.
Yeah, so I wasn't. I'd heard really good things about this movie. It's like it could have been a cash in. Obviously, prequels are dicey because they don't always work, and it's like, why do I care about what happened on the one day? Because it's obviously going to go disastrously wrong when we already had something that takes us further along, and we know there's kind of a solve to these bad creatures. But I will say, even though there's very little acting in this film because they can't say a lot, they acted their asses off with their expressions, their minimal amount of dialogue, and they make you care about characters that aren't around for very long.
Right.
They make a cat you want to kill at times. Also, you want to love this cat.
That cat, it's so funny because that was obviously the first joke that April said of our three cats. She says, do you think you could take Tonks? She's the oldest of our cats who's very attached to me. Do you think you could put her in like a duffel bag from a bodega and swim across? Because that's kind of how this wraps up, or she would, you could run with
a cat that likes water. How lucky are you? A cat that barely meows, you really listens and finds you.
Are wondering sometimes if it's even alive. But our stars of the film, you have rising, was it John Kelly or something? This guy was Eddie Munson in Stranger Things. He's the guy in this.
He's going to be played Johnny Storm. I didn't really. And
there'll be Johnny Storm, exactly. And then you have Lupita Nyong'o, who is, of course, from the Black Panther films, and it was Maz Kanata in the Star Wars sequels.
Yep.
And you're right. And then you had one of. I did mention, because I said, it's one of the Naked Brothers from the Naked Brothers band, which was a thing back when my kids were growing up, was the orderly from the hospital that.
The nurse.
So basically, as
Joseph Quinn is his name.
Joseph. I knew it was a Quinn or a Kelly or a something. I don't know. But I feel like you're right. I touched upon, but didn't go too much deeper. But you're right. The acting was in the eyes, because Lupita has those wonderful eyes and really is emoting, and you get to kind of follow her journey because she is has terminal cancer and she's living in a hospice place. Weirdly, she still has a furnished apartment back in New York City, which it seems like if she was dying, she would have already sold it off to pay for the hospice, or sold off.
Did she still have She still had. I mean, we assume she still had some family alive, maybe, that was taking care of it for her, or she was going to. They were going to take care of it after she had passed. I don't know. Maybe.
Good
question. I don't know if it was explained. And we had just assumed in this movie. Obviously, we see what happened with basically essentially meteors landing, and then it's clouds of dust. Kind of reminds you of like 9/11 when all those buildings, all the dust, and you couldn't see anything. You're hearing these noises, and at this point, it's probably over the course of this movie is over the course of 3 days,
maybe so. 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and there's very little communication. Like, so one person is listening to like all the communications that are coming through radio. Basically, it says like stay off the bridges.
And it wouldn't be a disaster film out of New York if you didn't watch one of the borough bridges get blown up.
Exactly. Stay in place, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Then, and it was interesting in this movie. I don't want to go, obviously it's not a review of the movie, but just really my thoughts on it was, and spoilers if I'm spoiling anything, but one of the things I was frustrated with in this movie, Charlie, because we know that the people in the first movie kind of knew how to adapt and what not to do. In this
Right.
movie, I felt like they knew everything
Right.
not to do, and I'm like, how are they finding this out?
Well, yeah, you're right. It is kind of quizzical, like how they would even know that it was the noise that was attracting these, because they seem to figure it out right away. But it seemed like
or they
it would
knew that they couldn't see you, or they
Right.
could, or any of those
Right.
things. Because we had one moment where one of the creatures is right in front of
Right, like
the one with his
like an
face.
alien, yeah, like in Aliens
Yeah.
3 with Ripley, and the thing that when that where it leans down and goes, it really very much seemed like that. Now people would figure it out pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean the monsters are wild because they're kind of like the Skeksis or whatever from the Dark Crystal,
Yeah.
but they have weird like basketball like heads that have
Yep.
little segments where they flip around, and they have
They
big
open
ears.
it up.
Yeah, they go blah, 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 and they have big
And it was-
big venom teeth. They look like
Yeah,
venom.
when it opened up in the one thing where they were hearing like some resonance, so I think when they opened their mouth, they could even hear more or sense more or more
Right, 'cause
sonar.
they always
Yeah.
make it a point to show their little ear going blah blah, blah like undulating,
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I do have one question that spoilers, folks. Charlie, would you have ate that old ass pizza?
I mean, it could have been just a day or so old,
It was in a
but
freezer, maybe with leftovers. They
I
pulled it out,
guess,
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, they were probably starving at this point, so you probably
I
wouldn't have eaten
agree.
anything,
I
you know.
agree.
If
I
you
agree.
had gone
Yeah.
a day or so without eating or water, you'd probably take whatever the hell you could find if it wasn't going to be poison.
And one more question: were those eggs of the creatures? They were opening up something, and they were all coming to that one place. Remember, when they're in the steel girders area, and
Oh,
there was
right.
those like
Yeah,
eggs.
it has to be, because otherwise, how
They
did
were
there end up
opening them
being?
up, but I didn't see anything come out. So I don't know.
How did there end up being so many of them? You know what I mean? And of course, because they're nonverbal creatures, you don't even really know why they're there or what they
What
want.
their purpose is, what's going to happen. Yeah,
They're just there to kill. So
and they
there's
didn't
no-
explain that in the second movie, I assume.
No. The second
Okay.
movie at least leaves you with the glimmer of, oh, there's some hope. I'll
Hope?
simply say that much.
Okay.
But
Well,
it
yeah,
does
because we
not-
got like a potential weapon to
Right.
beat them at the end of the first movie, and yeah. Okay.
And the other carryover character from the second movie back to this one is Damon Hanchu's character. We
Yeah.
do see him in the destination that our people arrive at finally in the second one. So, Todd, I'd say see the second one definitely.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed the two movies I've seen, and I will say there's one thing else before we move on. Joseph Quinn, when I first saw him in the movie and the way he was talking, I honestly thought he might have like mental difficulties or might be like special needs, but then you just found out he was like in shell shock. He was having PTSD, and then he's like, oh, he's a British guy there to study law. And I'm like, so I wasn't sure at first because he seemed a little bit, did he have special needs? Which
did he seem kind of special?
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Well, real quickly wrapping up, I talk about this probably every year, but we have a longer list of movies that we'd like to watch during the first week of July. And Todd kicks off with a movie I know you can't stand, Independence Day from 1996. I will always love this movie because I have fond memories of that summer, and also the speech that I always want to say Bill Paxton, but it's Bill Pullman, gives at the end of it with we're gonna survive, blah blah. My mother loves that. I'll remember it long after my mom has passed away how much she loves that. So
better get your MacBook out to defeat the
exactly. Yeah, you're right. That is how we finally saw. But no, we watched.
So glad Randy Quaid was there to save the day.
Oh my God, that was the apex of that guy's career. But no, we went on to watch Flight of the Navigator, which is a Disney movie from the 80s.
That's an adorable movie.
April loves that one. Forrest Gump was on the list, but it fell off. And the interesting thing is we came down. I had both Top Gun movies on there, but when I look back at the first Top Gun, I really don't want to watch it again. Top Gun Maverick, however, is dynamic and fantastic, and I love that movie. That I really, really enjoyed wating that again.
Come on, Charlie, take my breath away. Kelly McGillis. Yeah.
No, when I had to pick and choose. There's also it's funny, I put it on our Secret Friends Discord and some of the other Discords I run. There's a TOS episode that is where you see this barbarian guy saluting the American flag, and it was called the Omega Glory. That's always the first thing we watch. I'm trying to figure out if there was anything new on the list this year.
Joe Dirt really is the perfect America movie.
You think so? Well,
you should
yes,
watch
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
And it was not 4th of July related, but we did watch the original Twister because the sequel's coming out again. The spiritual sequel's coming. Twista. And that movie is extraordinarily 90s. The soundtrack is like, wow. I mean, they've got Tori Amos and a couple of songs by
Tori Amos. God, that makes zero sense, but hey, why not?
I know, nothing in there did. But anyway, yeah, that's how we choose to celebrate the 4th of July and go to an annual parade. And it was funny. We were at the parade with, again, our friends Jay and Tamara. We had a table at a restaurant across the street. April and I walked over to sit down and reserve the table. We did it just in time to watch a very big truck roll by that had nothing but Trump flags on it. So I'm like, oh, I picked the exact right time to not be out in the street. I would have been throwing things, but I digress.
We salute you, America.
America. All right. Well, that is the end of the Geek Easy. So the time has come to welcome in our new guest. But first, got to get that flight on air Qantas down to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the mutants await us and our friend Joe Colton to talk about DeadPool 2016.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we are continuing the Summer of X. This is part 5. We are talking about our favorite Merc with a Mouse, Mr. Wade Wilson, a.k.a. DeadPool 2016. So, as promised, we said we would have a special guest for the segment. If you're watching the YouTube video, you see her already. That is Joe Colton from Joe Colton Cosplay. Joe, welcome. Tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into this movie.
Sure. Thank you guys for having me. I've actually been trying to get on the show
for like 2 years.
Yes, it's not fitting, but I'm so excited to be here. So I'm Joe Colton Cosplay, or Joe Colton. I have been cosplaying since 2009, so I'm like old.
Come on now.
And I've done a lot of G.I. Joe costumes, hence the Joe Colton name, but I had branched out and I do a lot of screen accurate costumes from various movies. I've done Hela, I've done Mira from the ball gown, from the first Aquaman, I've done Judge Dredd. I actually got the guy who made Carl Urban's helmet to make my helmet and paint it. So
that's wild. It's
one of my most prized possessions. So yeah, I do a lot of costumes, a lot of prosthetic work. I do a lot of Klingon stuff, Cardassian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Amazing. And you build your stuff too. You don't just buy it off a shelf. You actually have to craft it.
Yes. I do sometimes. If I don't have the skill, I will employ friends who deserve to be paid for their artistry. And
but of course.
So I get my animatronic wings for my golden armor, for my Wonder Woman, that was commissioned from Rancid Props. He's a great prop maker, and he made them animatronic, so I just pressed a button and they would open. They also weigh 30 pounds.
That's awesome.
So
oh my gosh, there's your workout for that.
Yeah.
And then
Joe, 6 hours.
Joe and I finally met in real life on the Star Trek cruise earlier this year.
Yes.
Because Joe and her crew, you guys are all East Coasters.
Yes.
And we met through the wonder of Facebook or social media, whatever it is. But it's like, well, these are people I'll never meet in real life. And then you and I had been chatting. You said you and your gang, you and your husband, and then your good friend Maggie and her husband and all these other people, and William, who I had met before, we're all going to be on the cruise together. And we were just up on the deck, April and I were, and I drifted over and I said, that's that Joe Colton that I know. I don't know what, tapped you on the shoulder. And you're like, oh my God, the way people are when you see him at a con or whatever. And then we hung out for the whole rest of the cruise. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome. Also, your wife is so sweet and amazing, and I wanted to kidnap her and take her home with me.
The first coworker I ever introduced to April to, they said, I don't see the halo because I talk her up so much. She's an angel. But thank you. I will pass that along. But anyway, so glad to have you. And Joe, I know Joe is interested in being back on our various programs in the future, so this will not be the last time. But Todd, let's talk about DeadPool.
Absolutely. So I'll do the rundown to give you a little bit of the details of this movie, because some folks a little bit younger. My son actually watched it last night. He watched it the first time. He's 18 now. So everything is a little less uncomfortable than a young boy watching things with their parents at times. But 18, everything goes. I don't have to worry about, hey, earmuffs or, fingers over eyes.
Right.
So this movie has a really interesting past because Ryan Reynolds was wanting to get this movie made for years. Obviously, he had been Deadpool in the last movie we reviewed, and obviously that was a different take on it. But apparently somehow a leaked tape or proof of concept got out there. Wonder how that happened. And because of that, Fox said, okay, let's do this thing. What's the worst thing that can happen, especially after Wolverine's origins? So we get this movie. It's a dream project with Ryan Reynolds. Tim Miller, he directed this film. Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick wrote it. And obviously, Deadpool is based on the character created by Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld. This movie debuted February 8th, 2016. Running time 108 minutes, made for $58 million.
Made
$782 million. And considering we got a full-on Colossus in CGI, the whole stinking film, money was spent wisely, not on salaries, apparently.
And not to say one of the best lines that Deadpool goes and enacts on the expansion. It's funny, this is such a big house, and I only seem to see the two of you. It's almost as if the studio didn't want to spring for any more X-Men, and they walk them out. You shut up now.
Yeah, and of the mutants that they brought in, one was basically an unknown from the comics. That it's like, oh, everybody's favorite teenage Negasonic Warhead. Of course, everybody knows her.
No. Just finish your tweet.
Up. I was like, is that a real one?
Exactly. She was just a weird, just like, not made for the movie, but real character. So it's very cool. So I also
could not remember her name. Also could not remember her name after. I was like, what?
Even I just got it wrong. It's Negasonic Teenage Warhead versus the other way. So, interchangeable words.
I think he gets it wrong in this movie and certainly in the next one. Because in Negasaga, longest named ever.
Exactly. So the cast of this film, as we're talking about, Ryan Reynolds playing Wade, Marina Baccarin, Vanessa, obviously known from Firefly, TJ Miller, who I don't think anybody knows where he is these days because he
he might be dead.
He probably vacated Hollywood. Ed Skrein playing Ajax, Karen Sony playing Depinder, Michael Bainier's Warlord, the character that was in one scene, Stefan Kapasik, Colossus, and Brianna Hildebrandt, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. But we also got Leslie Uggams, classic actress playing Blind Al, and then Stanley, strip club DJ.
The most memorable of any cameo he ever did.
Exactly. The plot, if you need to know, a wisecracking mercenary gets experiment on and becomes immortal, yet hideously scarred, and sets out to track down the man who ruined his looks.
Oh.
And you can get this movie on any service you probably own. So, with that, we kick off this movie. It's kind of a mixed bag of flashbacks and in time sequences. We start off with a very cool opening sequence. Angel of the Morning playing, Deadpool on a mission. Great sequence. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you see chaos unfold. And then you go back, and then you get the story of Wade Wilson, mercenary, kind of with a heart of probably copper,
lead,
maybe aluminum foil, but he's trying to do the right thing. But at this point, we're not giving any inclination, quite honestly, that this Wade is the same Wade we saw in the movie, obviously, because he died. So that's kind of where we're at. So at this point, we're kind of just reset up to give basically the origin of Deadpool in the appropriate fashion. We kind of set up a love story, and then as the love story goes wrong, Wade gets cancer, and the hijinks go from there. Basically, we find out then Wade has to find a way to beat the cancer. Nothing is working, and then he basically calls a number, talks to Agent Smith, And there we go. We get to see a Ed Skrein, aka Ajax, aka Francis, and then also Cara Dune, who I forget was in this movie.
Before she decided to flap her gums,
Yes,
and turn her life into what it is now. Isn't she starring with Kirk Cameron and something now? Isn't she kind of on that level? That's where her career is at.
Maybe.
Oh
but
my God!
Point. I mean, the tone of this movie is established very quickly. The comedy, the sense of humor. It really, really pays off quite a lot. So at this point, we get more of the plot going on. But I just want to get everybody's feelings about, what they thought about this movie, any specific points they love. Obviously, we don't have to break down every plot point, but yeah.
I have a quick question because it was not clearly covered in the Wolverine movie, and I just don't know that it's covered here. What is Deadpool's actual origin story? Like in the Reader's Digest version, what's the short version of how he, because he is from the 90s. It was an issue of the
his first appearance was New Mutants was his first appearance. Merc with the Mouth. They didn't really go into much there. I've read several of the Deadpool miniseries, and quite honestly, they really didn't go in deep on his origin story. I mean, at one point he was in love with Siren's daughter, Siren is her name. It was Banshee's daughter. He then had a fascination with death as well. But yeah, I don't think we ever truly got until later, maybe we did get a Deadpool origin. I can look it up really quick if you guys want to keep talking.
I'd be curious. Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, as the guest, let's have your impressions. What did you love? What did you... Now, I don't know what there is not to love, but I can't presuppose that on anybody. So take the microphone, please.
So I was not a fan. I'm not a fan of a lot of Deadpool cosplayers because they just go over the top with it and become annoying. But the movie I really, really loved. I also was very impressed with his prosthetic pieces and makeup. He sat in the chair for 8 hours before filming.
Oh my God! Every day, which is just nuts.
Every day. And his suit itself, there's no muscle suit underneath. It's just him, and he also can't lie down in it or sit.
It's like Daniel Craig and the James Bond suit. He's sewn into it because it's very much like a spandex thing happening.
Like once he's in, like that's it. Like there's no peeing, there's no eating. There's to peel it off him. But the movie itself, totally loved it. He was pretty much made for this role. Yeah. He made him really likable and also really hilarious. And I love that he still breaks the fourth wall in the movie as well as the comic. So it's very good.
So apparently the real origin of Deadpool was done in a limited series called Sins of the Past, and essentially he was experimented on by a doctor called Dr. Killebrew, but that was in 1994, so long time ago. I didn't remember it, but yeah, I mean, he made us a first appearance in let's see, it would have been 1991.
Oh, back in the good old days. Yeah. So what it sounds like is there are elements of his actual origin that are reflected in this film. Maybe not in the exact same way, though, the cancer and the girlfriend and the blah, blah, blah. But he was experimented on and perhaps it, like in the film, it ignited his late mutant abilities or something like that. Who knows? I thought that was that part of it was pretty great. The way that it kind of turned him into a big old monster guy. Because, his... not connected character that we see in the X-Men Origins film, his powers are just kind of like, you don't really know, just like Agent Zero in that film. You don't even really know what they do a bunch of flips and shit, and he's swinging his blades and cutting bullets in half, which is not a real thing. And it's just, there's ridiculous, and then there's something that functions within the parameters of its own rule set, and that movie didn't have any. This one totally does. Is that the only rules is that there were no rules, and it was just everything that came out of his mouth was fun, and there's nothing to pick apart, in my opinion. I don't know.
I found it interesting that he is part of the Canadian Special Forces, like sort of.
You guys got one of those?
We do, but it was sort of like he also is Canadian in real life, but also Wolverine is Canadian, so I'm I know we're not talking about the new movie, but I was like, are they gonna be like, we're Canucks, we're bro Canucks, like just
Bro Nux?
bro Nux.
You know what? They'll open up. What's the beer? Labatt's Blue. They'll have that. They'll go to Tim Hortons. They'll have a good time. How about Molson Ice?
Is that Canada's version of what's the worst beer we have in this country?
Busch Light.
Milwaukee's Best. Yeah.
The
Busch
Beast.
Light and Miller. Yeah, Miller Light even.
Yeah.
Blue Ribbon.
Oh God.
Exactly.
Yeah,
PB
hipster.
Army. ASAP.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? Yeah.
Isn't that so? Is Labatt Blue like the Canadian hipster beer? I mean, like
No,
because
it's like water. It's like Blue Moon.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
I like Blue Moon, but I drink dark.
Pretty big.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty basic.
So yeah, I mean, and I did love the fact that he had a mutant gene inside. That was the whole thing. Basically, they were going to do all these horrible experiments to basically activate his mutant gene using this special fluid that they never said what it was. It was probably something,
Wasn't it blue?
Yeah.
Was it blue or green? Oh, it was the ooze. You're right.
The
So the Ninja Turtles
Turtles
were further back, yeah. And I understand Joe was talking about the makeup. They spent an extra amount at the time where he's fighting Ajax and he's naked, getting thrown around and stuff. You definitely got to see some kind of CGI asshole or something in that because you definitely got him bending over and the pulver. The line in the beginning, whose balls do you got to fondle to get your own movie? Pulverine.
Yes, Pulverine.
You got to see his pulverines.
Yeah. And I love the fact that there was like really no boundaries in this film. The fact that they did indeed bring up Green Lantern, the CGI costume. I mean, you gotta love it. You gotta love it that they could play with all the toys.
That was one in that opening montage where it was all stop motion and you see all the different things. And I love it how that, directed by some overpaid hack and produced by some tool. But you saw one of the things was Wade's wallet and sticking out of it was a picture of himself as Green Lantern.
Yes. Fantastic credits. I love them all. The way they were so inventive, with, like you said, they didn't use anybody real's names and, the writers, the real heroes and
the real heroes, right.
Absolutely brilliant. So I love that. And then, this is a series of those back and forths of we're going from current time to the past. And I love the fact that immediately you get Colossus involved. You get Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think I got it right that time involved as well. And I just like that, hey, we're going to bring it in.
You gotta keep them going. You can't they can't disappear now.
No. I loved it because I thought it was a way to really give a lot of fan service in a lot of fun ways. Having Colossus, who is kind of like a Boy Scout in a lot of ways, to be a good foil for Wade, which is great. And then you get the Loomph teenager who kind of is just there.
Yeah, she turns to her and she's like, click, click, click. No, it's okay. Just finish your tweet. We're good. All right, start the walk again. Done to X, gonna give it to you. Oh my God.
Yeah, great soundtrack. Yeah.
No, you can just tweet.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're good. It was because Colossus was, they didn't really have a lot else to go on from Daniel Cudmore's portrayal of Colossus in X-Men 3. He didn't really do much. He wasn't even. It was all cameos for him.
He didn't even have a Russian accent in those first two films.
Right.
Oh, it was so bad. Right. So bad.
Yeah, so this way he was kind of all the way. But the best bit with him, I do love that, DeadPool punches him in the nuts and shatters his arm. He's like, oh, your poor wife.
the Tyrannosaurus the T-Rex hands. Oh, so good. Oh my God. So we do get Ajax involved, and obviously he has he can't feel pain. I guess that's his real superpower.
That was
I guess he's strong.
I didn't. It was missing.
One thing that's the dumb thing in this movie.
Well, there was way too much of him getting thrown into shit that would have snapped somebody out. Oh, I can't feel pain. Doesn't mean if you shatter every bone in your body, you can still be like, I don't feel pain. Yeah, I'm still getting up. I'm good, but I don't feel anything. Well, you're bleeding out of every orifice in your body, so I don't think you're getting up.
Your arm, yes, you might not feel it, but your arm is no longer you can't work.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Ajax was, and then Cara Dune's, I just call her Cara Dune. Her powers were a little weird because she didn't necessarily
Super strength, but
know
not.
what she had going on, but how was she stronger? The Colossus is like a class 70 as far as strength goes. So
Yeah.
she would have to be more like the She-Hulk or even the Hulk himself, strength-wise, to be able to mix it up with him. So that was really fuzzy. And did we figure out, was that an existing character?
Her name was called Angel Dust. That was her character's name, and basically, her ability, it said her adrenaline fuels her to increase her strength and durability to superhuman levels. So,
like the Hulk, because that's what the Hulk
kind of,
is.
yeah. The more mad you get, and she was a person of few words in this movie, and of course had a matchstick in her mouth for no reason, and obviously that helped.
It was there for a reason. It helped to drive the plot forward because it made things explode.
Exactly.
So it was just So Cara Dune's character, and then her boob fell out at one point. But I'm like, no, all right, I'll
that
allow
was hilarious. Klaus was like, "Oh, your thing," and it was blurred out too. I mean, which is funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
behind the rock or something.
So in the comics, her power is based on the level of adrenaline.
Yeah.
Right.
And she gets dark lines on her face, like so she's got like the veins coming in.
Mascara. She's a mascara villain.
Right, like she's like dark lines, and she also she can only use her powers for a short amount of time. It's not like her adrenaline and then she's just off with it. Like she exhausts herself, so it's like however long her endurance is.
Yeah.
So she needs to recharge. She needs a break. She needs to drink some Gatorade.
Yeah, have a Snickers. Have a Snickers. Well, you're not yourself if you don't have your Snickers. There you go. Oh my gosh. So, but you know what? All of those things, like both of the villains having like really, powers that don't really track. It's kind of like, so what? It just doesn't really matter.
The CGI and the makeup took the most amount of time. So they didn't have time to build the good.
Right. Stuff. Exactly. You kind of gloss it over, and for me, it's totally fine because everything else about this film is it's fun. It's not good, clean fun because it's the exact opposite with all the gratuitous violence and all the swears. But yeah, not even really any nudity. Even during they have the calendar girl song with all them having sex and stuff. Even that is not. It's
a strip club scene, so you get that like classic.
Even him being tossed around naked wasn't like.
Yeah.
No. That sex scene though is pretty impressive. All of the. Yeah. It's creative. I liked it. It was funny.
Happy International Women's Day. That was the best one.
Exactly. I will say TJ Miller, even though he's kind of fallen on hard times because of his bad personality, was great. Right. He was a great foil Weasel. You get Blind Al, just really good like sparring partners for him, which were amazing. Really love it. Added a lot of environment around him to play off of others, which was good because it wasn't like he was the only clever one. I mean, Vanessa was great, even though she was not in it as much as I think a lot of people would have liked it. But she did show a lot of spunk.
The second one, so calm down.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, we do know where we're going. But she gets redeemed obviously in the new movie that's coming out.
He gets locked in a capsule thing. He saves her. People got their romantic ending thing.
Yeah.
Now, was the I feel like this was a rumor at the time, and I was looking through the IMDb notes and didn't really verify that the aircraft carrier, was that supposed to be the one from the Avengers? Because I totally feel like it looked like it had the hydro on the side. It looked like it was like a flying helicopter. So I feel like that was like a little nod and a wink to the audience. I feel like I heard that back. The movie's 8 years old. I feel like we heard that back in the day. So I don't know.
It says Ajax kidnaps Vanessa and takes her to a decommissioned helicarrier. That's all.
So what else could it be? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love
there you
that.
go.
That's in my head canon. That's what it always was. So, well, awesome. So as we wrap things up, as we traditionally like to do, we give this one a rating out of. Now, there's no Wolverine in this one, but used to rate Claws.
Well, we forgot there is a post-credit scene in this movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, take it away. What happens?
It is basically going back to the first post-credit scene in all movies, which was from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and he says basically go home. And then he says Cable will show up in the sequel. I don't care. We'll get this guy or that guy. It'll happen.
Yeah, we'll get some guy with gray hair, and flat top. Yeah.
Exactly.
They did, and they made it came true, and they made it at the same time that they got Josh Brolin, and he was also Thanos, and I can't wait to talk about that movie.
Yeah.
We'll have-
Any last thoughts before we close the door?
The marketing was like
Right.
unique and didn't cost a lot, and it got the point across, and it got people intrigued, and it was hilarious. Like the billboards, you would just see like just him and like a caricature he would draw, or like a thought bubble, and be like a swear word or a pow pow. Like I'd be driving up 95, and you'd see like just a billboard of him, and you're like, or him just like the one behind you where he's just like
Doing the Burt Reynolds. Oh my God. All the little animations as their credit plays. I thought the worst one was him on the unicorn. We starts
Yes.
and it shoots a rainbow, and then it cramps out money.
Yep. Gotta love good credits, post credits, in credits. I love it. You're making me stick around, make it entertaining.
Yeah,
there we
exactly
go.
Correct.
So we've got. We're gonna do 10 decapitations. We'll do 1 out of 10 decapitations for Deadpool because he likes to do that. So Joe, what would you give this film?
Only because we discussed the dumb villains, I can't give it a full 10. So
I'm in the same place.
Yeah. So I would be like an 8.75.
Ooh, she likes the decimals just like I do.
Nice.
Very nice. I like it. Todd, what about you?
You know, I think that is a point. I mean, Ajax was a character in the comics, not a great one. So you know what? To your point, not a great villain, but I think that at this point it had so much personality, probably didn't matter. But for me, I'm giving this 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 heads hanging out because, you know, this really set a new standard for a certain type of superhero film that I felt like, wow, really opened the doors and redeemed Fox in a certain amount of ways, because with the MCU going full in and like they were doing something that the MCU would never do, and now they're gonna do.
Right. Yeah. And we'll see just how much, how deep in they're willing to lean. Well, I would say, you know, I don't want to be the ultimate fanboy and go with the full 10, but fuck it. Why not? 10 it is. I like it. Line the heads up and chop them. You know, I love the movie so much that the things in this that are lacking, like the two villains with their very vague powers, I don't care. This was fun. I couldn't believe we just watched it last night. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed watching it. I was laughing at a movie that had been around for 8 years, but I probably hadn't watched it in 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was all in. It's good stuff.
My son, who's 18, kind of jaded, doesn't do movies, really enjoyed himself. So that's I praise.
There you go. Good deal. Awesome. Well, that takes us all up on out of the show. And Joe, it was so great having you. I can't wait to have you for a full show. Any one of our family of shows, even some of our Patreons, I can talk to you about that. But where do people find you out there?
So on Facebook or Instagram, it'll be Joe Colton Cosplay. And then Twitter, X, whatever it is. J Colton Cosplay, because they wouldn't let me fit the whole thing. And then TikTok is Joe Colton Cosplay. I'm trying to be better. I really am.
I know. I'm such a lurker on TikTok because I just know, you know, and then I show up and Mark takes segments of our Holocron and puts them on there. That's where you'll see the most of me on TikTok. So we'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll
social media is a full-time job just to keep up, comment, be involved.
Yeah. True enough.
And I'm building things. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to post? Do you want me to take care of the baby?
You should post what you're building. Now that's cool, and you would get engagement, I believe.
Yes. But I do surprises, so I can't until.
That is
there you
true.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a double-edged sword. All right. Well,
dude, after the fact, though, release it. This is how it was done.
I should do that. Thank you. Yes.
Listen to the marketing whiz. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, Todd, where do people find you out there?
On the threads at Toxtra for all things Secret Friends Unite at Secret Friends Unite, and also still on the Twitters, at Toxtra, at Secret Friends U. I still put it out there because a lot of people still are not coming over to Threads, so gotta be everywhere.
Boo those people. Well, I love being on Threads, and I love being on Instagram. I'm at the C3, spelled out TheCeeThree. I'm also super duper active on our Secret Friends Unite Discord, on our Grant Petoskey Discord, which is our SFI chapter. But as I'd been mentioning, April and I started our own little Michigan-centric Star Trek fan club that we call the United Trekkers of Michigan. It's only a Discord. It's just for talking about Star Trek. People in Michigan, or even people anywhere, Joe, we'd love to see you there. If you just want to blibbity blab about Star Trek, but that's where we're at. All right, we'll talk. Well, with that, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Shoop, shoop, da doop, shoop, da doop, shoop, da doo, da doo, da doop.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.